So I had a ton of fun with Perfect Dark on the Nintendo 64, so I thought it'd be fun to try and recreate one of its stages in Super Mario Maker. Wait, did I say 1? I meant to say 3, including dataDyne Central Defection, Investigation, and Extraction. Okay, so as a quick recap, or in case you haven't played the original game, you play as Joanna Dark, and your first mission is to rescue Dr. Carroll from dataDyne. And to do that, you're first going to fly in a helicopter to dataDyne itself, work your way through the offices to find Cassandra, take the elevators to the bottom floor, and find the secret exit into the laboratory, where you'll then rescue the robot, Dr. Carroll. At which point you'll then have to work your way all the way back up dataDyne to the rooftop. But along the way, you'll encounter attack helicopters and enemies with shotguns. And then you'll finally be picked up via helicopter. Yeah, that's a lot to take in. But that didn't stop me from trying to recreate in Super Mario Maker. But before we start, you can check out for yourself by using the code on the screen right now. Okay, and with that out of the way, let's go and hop on in and check out what this level is all about. So we're playing as Mario Dark here, and we have to get to dataDyne. Now in the original game, you flew in the helicopter there during a cutscene, but this time you actually get to fly there yourself, so we just have to be careful of the skyscrapers, as well as all the flying cars, and there's a bunch of them. Alright, so far so good. And I think we made it, so let's go and park our vehicle on the helipad here. And in case there was any doubt this is dataDyne, you can see their logo on the front of the building, as well as the distinctive X on the helipad above. So let's go ahead and inside, and we're going to start infiltrating our way to Dr. Carroll. Oh no, we've been spotted by an armed guard! Gotta carefully work our way around there, we're totally unarmed right now. We'll take the ramp down. And we can see a ventilation fan, as well as a light switch on the wall, and if we hit it in this case, it gives us a mushroom, alright. So it's going to continue on down, carefully head down the stairs. And through the door into the actual office complex of dataDyne. Okay! Alright, we gotta be careful with all these guards here. So there's an elevator on the right, as well as one on the left, but they appear to be blocked off. The doors are shut. So let's go ahead into the office right here. And it's Cassandra's office, the CEO of dataDyne. And she's not happy about us jumping on there. Whatever, we're gonna hit the switch and exit back out. Hopefully that'll open the elevators. Hurry, hurry, and sure enough it has, alright. So ride the elevator down. There's supposed to be an armory right here. Cool. We are now locked and loaded. We got some firepower now. Whoa, alright. Continue on, down another floor. I don't know why the guards are on tables, but that's how things roll in dataDyne. I will take one more elevator ride down. And on the left, we can see there appears to be something behind a wall, but we can't get to it. Not yet, at least. Alright, we gotta watch out for these Hammer Brothers here. And in the original game, there were 2 guns behind the desk, and sure enough, we have 2 weapons here behind the desk here you can grab. Alright, there's another room on the right, and we might be able to use this Koopa Troopa here to break through the secret wall on the left. Oh, I should say the wall in the secret area on the left. Alright, so now we're gonna take this pipe. Where could this lead us? Maybe into the underground laboratory where we'll find Dr. Carroll? Alright, and like in the original game, Dr. Carroll is blocked, guarded by 2 automated turrets here. So we gotta be careful. Alright, we made it. So let's go ahead on into this little section here. Yep, we are in fact Dr. Carroll right now, where we rescued Dr. Carroll, and he's gonna help us out by activating the switch here. And that'll allow us to get out of here with Dr. Carroll in Mario's possession. But as you may have noticed, it set off an alarm too, so we're probably gonna be feeling some heat pretty soon. Alright. And we can now use these turrets to reach the warp pipe above to get back out. And now that we got Dr. Carroll, we have to get out of here. Oh, and we got some helicopters coming in. They are not happy, and they're trying to take us down. And there's another one on this side, too. So we gotta be really careful here as we work our way back up. Using the elevators. I hope the elevator gets back down here. Come on, I'm summoning it. Get down your elevator! Alright, we gotta be careful. Alright, so far so good. Take another elevator up, another floor. Gotta watch out for the helicopters trying to shoot us down. Oh, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have grabbed that. Alright, we'll continue on, unarmed. Okay, totally unarmed. This is not going good. Up to the final floor here, alright. And we'll head back up. Alright, now in the original game, there were a ton of guards here, and whoa! Yeah, we got guards here too. And they are armed with magic wands. Alright, so let's go and see what's here. Let's go grab a weapon. So in the original game, you could, there was a wall here you could stand behind for protection from the soldiers and rocket launchers, or from the soldiers with shotguns, and yep, we are defended here. We're gonna take these guys down. And we're gonna try and get out of here with Dr. Carroll in our possession. We can see more air traffic above outside. And let's go ahead and head outside ourselves. Oh, and there's Cassandra, and she's not happy. So let's go hop into our helipad, or our helicopter here, and get out of here. Alright. Oh, they've called in all the defenses. So we gotta move. We gotta get out of here. Alright, so far doing pretty good. Avoiding all these buildings and cars. We are at a helipad here, so I was gonna park. And, looks like we are at the Carrington Institute. You can see the CI on the right, as well as the Perfect Dark logo on the left. Just a little touch there. And we made it. We rescued Dr. Carroll, we made it to the end, and we completed our mission. Alright. So if you want to play it for yourself, you can, using the code on the screen right now. So with that out of the way, let's go and hop in here into the editor and check out how I actually built this level. You might have gotten a sneak peek there at the very bottom. So, I've actually been working on this level forever, it feels like. I started several months ago, and I took a pretty long break. But I don't even want to know how many hours I put into it. But I probably put another 6 hours into it today, just playtesting it, adding a few more details. Details most people probably won't even notice. There's a stupid amount of time playtesting this level, and I finally decided I had to wrap it up, so I decided to do that today. So originally it started off as just me wanting to recreate the feeling of infiltrating dataDyne, which is this portion right here, where you go level to level, down, ride the elevators floor to floor, and really just want to see how close I could replicate the original game. Now originally I had even more floors than this, but I wanted to replicate the feeling of the original game where when you reach the bottom floor, it had a really tall ceiling or high ceilings, and that of course I had to shrink the other floors in order to have enough rooms you can maneuver within them. So yeah, that's how we ended up with ultimately 4 floors, and I think it works as is. It gave you enough feel of the elevators. So anyways, after building that, my ambitions kept growing. I kept adding on and on to it. So initially, I don't even know I can't remember what order I started adding things in. But I'm like, it'd be kind of cool if you had to go rescue Dr. Carroll. So, that's where I added this warp pipe here to get to the bottom. But before we get to that then, I also remembered in the original game, there were 2 rooms at the bottom, on the bottom floor, one of which was blocked by the entrance into the, there was an elevator that led you to the laboratory, which is the warp pipe here. But that room was blocked off by a hidden wall. And I wanted to replicate that here. That's why I put this wall here, and that's why I also added the other room on the right, which isn't quite true to the original game, but in this case, you have to go there in order to break through the wall to get to the other room. So I tried to get it as close as possible to the original game while, still being a Mario game, or working within the limits of Mario Maker. So now that you break through that wall, let's head into the laboratory here, and this is where things got so freaking complex. This is a giant pain in the butt, because there's so many elements here. I don't even know where to start. So the easy part, of course, is just replicating the turrets here, which is pretty easy. I just put them on the ceiling there, and they worked. But then things started getting complicated. But I wanted you actually have to rescue Dr. Carroll, and I think I came up with the idea pretty early on that is making it a mystery mushroom. That's Rob. That worked out perfectly, and then I added the sound effect as you heard just today of Dr. Carroll talking, which drives the point home. Of course, you won't experience that if you play online, yourself. But whatever. Anyways, but then things got really complicated because I wanted you to turn back into Mario afterward, which is why, here, I'll show you here, after you become Dr. Carroll, and I forced you to become Dr. Carroll because you need to break into these bricks here, so you need to be, you can't be normal Mario to break through the bricks here, and you also, Super Mario can't break in. So I'm really condensing things here, but I spent hours upon hours figuring out how to do this room, and eventually, I came up with a solution. You can't escape, these are one-way doors, you have to be Dr. Carroll to hit the switch, and you can now escape. And you also have to grab the Firefly, turn you back into Mario. Because I didn't want you to be anyone but Mario beyond this point, because that's not true to the original games. I had to find some way to get you back into Mario. So in order to do that, I had to have the switch drop the stupid fire flower up here, which also blocked off with a visible block in case I try to jump up there afterward. I don't know if it's possible, but I just want to cover my bases. So it drops the fire flower, forces you to turn back into Mario, and I am really condensing how much time this took. Now on top of all this, you may have noticed I can't remember if I pointed out or not. But when you activate it, it starts an alarm. You can hear it, right? So in order to do that, let me show you what I did here. I created, and I actually have to give thanks to Peach Toadstool, one of the people we've collaborated with on other Mario Maker levels, as well as who's created the Melody Roads levels of Mario Maker that we've showcased before, which are awesome. He's a great composer, and he actually helped me create the setup for the Sirens here. So you can actually see if I hit this, test piece switch up here, what happens. You can see how the fire flowers function as the sound effect. So that's the siren, and it plays as long as this switch is activated, and Dr. Carol is freed. So, yeah, alright, so moving on, we freed Dr. Carol, and then I had the idea of, okay, well, here's another complicated thing. Originally I had it so you're going to take a different warp pipe to get up back to the main area, but I realized in the original game, you take the same elevator up, take the same elevator back into dataDyne in the third mission. And that's where you begin your escape out of dataDyne. And being a stickler for details, I'm like, well, that I have to do it the same way. You have to do the same warp pipe in this level in order to get back above. So that introduced multiple issues. For one, how do you make the same warp pipe go... Well, okay, so first off, if I took literally the same warp pipe, it would take you back to the area you've already seen. And here, let me go there real quick. Being this section... And the problem is, if you took it back to this exact section, then you're going to encounter the exact same enemies, and we're going to run into issues when you start backtracking to the rest of the level. But how am I going to end the level? But I didn't set it up that way. So that meant I had to duplicate almost everything in the level again in order to have a whole different setup. So I'll show you how I accomplished that. And I've actually shown this technique before, so there's nothing mind-blowing. But I have two warp pipes here. One layer on top of the other, so you pop out of one, and then when you go back up through the other one, it takes you to a whole different area, and I'll show you that right now. Actually, I'll show you that in a sec. Before we get to that point, there's another issue of how do you get back up to the warp pipe? Because I had to make it inaccessible. I had to make it so I wanted to make it so you had to go rescue Dr. Carol first. Otherwise, you could just jump up to the warp pipe again, and you'd be on your way. And that's no fun. So, that just kind of ruins the whole narrative of the level. So in order to do that, I made it so you have to, of course, rescue Dr. Carol, as I've already explained. And you hit the P switch, and in this case, what the switch does, it starts the alarm, of course, and it activates the coins, or turns the blocks into coins, just drops the guns, the turrets. And then once the conveyor belt starts up here again, these make it so you can now jump high enough to reach a warp pipe above, which is otherwise basically impossible. So, yeah, anyways, now we're on our way out, and this again takes you to a whole different section, which is now the escape portion. So, I'll show you how I set this up. So on the right, so this is actually on the right area, or the right half of the whole secondary area. If we go to the left, you'll see here are the Cassandra rooms. There are two of them. One is missing Cassandra because if you visit later on, Cassandra's on the rooftop, so she won't be here. But if we go further to the left, you can see the first area you explore, including with some parabeetles I added as flying, just, so you can see some flying cars if you go to the windows. And by the way, I don't know if you noticed, but you can see the windows, I mean, duplicated here too, like as if you're in a skyscraper. I put so much detail in this level, it's crazy. And if you go further left, you can see, this is the top area, when you first infiltrate dataDyne. And similarly, all the way on the right, we have an identical area, except with new enemies. So, yeah. And again, more Buzzy Beetles above, just to give you the feeling that you can now see onto the rooftop with the flying cars outside. Alright, so another big part of the original game was when you're escaping, which is now the third level of Perfect Dark, is there were attack choppers outside the windows. I knew I wanted to replicate that here, which is another reason why I had to duplicate the entire setup. So in order to do that, I decided to, I tried a lot of different things, but I ended up going with these giant, angry cannons, and that one's facing left here. I don't know why. It should be facing right. In the final version that I post online, it will be facing correctly. I must have screwed that up at some point. Anyways, so that way they track you, they home in on you by, no matter where you go, they will home in on you. Oh, actually I had it right. Sorry, they were facing our way. The clown car faces the left initially, but it turns around when you appear. Anyways, yeah, so they home in on you like the attack choppers. I thought that was really cool, and I ended up going with the with the large cannonballs. I thought they were a cool little hazard. Originally, I had homing bullet bills for a while, but I ended up just liking these better. Plus, I can make them big too, which made the cannonballs, or which made the helicopters bigger, or the clown chopper bigger, or clown copter, which, or clown car. Jesus, sorry guys, I am on fumes right now. I've been working on the stage all day. Anyways, but that just made them seem a little bit more intimidating. So, anyways, of course, you continue upward. You can go through the room again if you want to see Cassandra's office. Blah blah blah, whatever. And yeah, you go back up here. Now, there is actually one other thing here I want to point out. In the original game, if I remember correctly, underneath this staircase, or at least one of the staircases, there was a really tiny gun. Like, if you crawled underneath the staircase, there was a really tiny pistol. You could barely see it, but you could pick it up and it give you a weapon. So I duplicated that here. If you go into the staircase, you can hit the block there, which is where the invisible gun, or the tiny gun would be, and you get a weapon. So that's my tribute to the original secret in the game. Yeah, so I guess the final thing here is you escape out again, and here we have another dataDyne portion. Again, I duplicated this tower. So if you go to the left, you'll see here's the laboratory I put in. That's where you get Dr. Carroll, so it's part of the same area with the dataDyne building. And similarly, and to the left of that is the first dataDyne building, and then this is the whole starting area. So in order to separate these far enough, I had to carefully space all these sections out so you can't see dataDyne, either the dataDyne buildings from within Dr. Carroll's laboratory. And I also had to make it so if you're here, for instance, that you can't just jump out and try to check out the rest of the level without your clown car. So, so I added the invisible block there. It's a bit of a cheat, but there was really no other way of going about it I could come up with. Similarly, in order to prevent you from flying over this with a clown car, I decided to add the X there from the original game. I thought it was a cool little landmark, and also prevented the clown car from flying above it. So, if we go back to the right, I used a similar technique to prevent you from going left. But on top of that, I also added Cassandra here, who's angry, so that naturally drives you to the right, to the waiting chopper right there. And I also had to add these 2 blocks here just to further block your route. Yeah, so that basically wraps it up. I added a few more enemies here, so actually, I'm not quite done yet. So, in the original game, like the beginning, the ending was a cutscene. You get in your chopper, and you just fly away, and that's it. You fly away, you leave Cassandra behind, and that's the end of the level. I wanted to make it a bit of a thrilling pursuit, or thrilling escape, and that's why I added this final section here, where you have to leave dataDyne much as you entered, and you have to fly through all these final hazards here, which weren't in the original game. I added a few more skyscrapers here, some more flying cars, and yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I added the helipad here where you disembark at Carrington Institute. Now, before I actually built Carrington Institute, I've always had this Perfect Dark logo here. I know it's hard to see, but I promise you it's a P and a D, an uppercase P on the left and a lowercase d on the right, and it stands for Perfect Dark. You can see at the very start of the game. And yeah, it took some finagling to get that look just right. So I've always had that at the end, but I always felt the end fell a little flat. I just had the flagpole there with the castle. I'm like, that doesn't fit. So I decided to build the Carrington Institute around it. And yeah, I made it, in this case, another skyscraper with the Carrington Institute logo on it. And then I covered up the castle with blocks. You can still see a little bit of the red there with the door. Phew! Oh man, I am exhausted from talking. There is so much to say, and I barely even covered all the thought that I put into this level. I mean, really a ridiculous amount, far more than I should have. I don't recommend it. I am crazy, essentially. But I put in, it must have been over 24 hours into this single level now. It's stupid, if not close to that. Anyways, guys, that is my Perfect Dark level. I was a big fan of Perfect Dark back in the day, so I wanted to make a level that paid tribute to it, and it ended up expanding to 3 levels, my favorite 3 levels of that game. So, hopefully you enjoy it. Please go play it for yourself if you haven't already. I'm using the code on the screen right now or in the description below. And of course, keep it on GameXplain for more Super Mario Maker levels, maybe from us at some point. Hopefully it'll come out Mario Maker Retirement to make more. I think I've dropped a bit in the ranks, the top ranks, unfortunately, because I just stopped making levels. So who knew that would compromise my position. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Keep an eye for more Mario Maker levels and other stuff gaming as well. Bye. I'm so tired. Oh, God.